In the autumn of 1987, a small radio station in Stillwater, Montana, went off the air. Station KSWT had been broadcasting since 1952, serving a community of just under 3,000 people. What should have been a simple equipment failure became one of the most disturbing unsolved mysteries in American broadcasting history. This is the story of the Stillwater Broadcast, a story the FCC tried to bury, a story that cost lives, and a story that, according to some, never truly ended. Warning: the following contains descriptions of disturbing content and unusual audio anomalies. Listener discretion is advised. KSWT-AM operated out of a converted general store on the edge of Stillwater. The station was owned and operated by Marcus Webb, a former Navy radio operator who settled in Montana after World War II. By all accounts, Marcus ran a tight ship. Regular programming, local news, high school sports, nothing unusual. But in August of 1987, Marcus hired a new late-night DJ. Her name was Sarah Chen, a recent college graduate with a degree in broadcast journalism. She worked the midnight to 6 shift, playing music requests and taking calls from insomniacs and long-haul truckers. For 6 weeks, everything was normal. Then, on October 13th, 1987, at approximately 2:47 a.m., something changed. According to FCC logs and listener reports, the broadcast signal from KSWT experienced what was described as severe atmospheric distortion, but this wasn't weather interference. Listeners reported hearing something strange, a voice underneath the voice. One truck driver described it like this: like someone whispering behind the DJ. You can barely make it out, but it's there. By 3:15 a.m., the Highway Patrol had received 14 calls. By 4 a.m., that number had risen to 47. People weren't just hearing whispers anymore. They were hearing words, and the words were disturbing. One listener, Daniel Kovac, recorded 12 minutes of the broadcast on a cassette tape. In 1987, he sent copies to the SCC, the FBI, and 3 major newspapers. None of them published anything. The FCC called the tape inconclusive. The FBI never responded. But Daniel kept the original recording. Before he died in 2019, he uploaded it to the internet. At 6:03 a.m., when Sarah's shift ended, KSWT switched to automated programming. The whispers stopped. Everything returned to normal. Marcus Webb arrived at the station at 8 a.m. Sarah seemed shaken, but she couldn't explain what had happened. She said she felt strange during the broadcast, lightheaded, like she was speaking but couldn't control what she was saying. Marcus assumed she was simply tired and sent her home. For the next week, nothing unusual happened until October 21st. This time, it was worse.
At 3:47 a.m., listeners began calling emergency services. The broadcast had become disturbing. Sarah Chen wasn't playing music anymore. She was speaking in a monotone voice, reciting coordinates, latitude and longitude, over and over again. A deputy was sent to check the station. When he arrived, the front door was unlocked. The studio was empty. But the broadcast was still going. Sarah's voice was still coming through the speakers, but Sarah was gone. The coordinates pointed to a location 40 miles northwest of Stillwater, a ravine known as Dead Man's Gulch. In 1923, a mining disaster there killed 37 men. Search teams combed the area for 3 days. They never found Sarah Chen. But they did find something else, a collapsed mine shaft. At the bottom, there appeared to be radio equipment. vacuum tubes, copper wiring, technology dating back to the 1920s, but the equipment was still warm.
The case was eventually closed. KSWT shut down in November 1987. Marcus Webb sold the building and moved away. But the story didn't end there. In 2003, a radio enthusiast named Kevin Marsh was scanning AM frequencies. Suddenly, he picked up a signal. On 1340 AM, the old KSWT frequency. And then, he heard the voice. Sarah Chen, or something that sounded exactly like her, reciting coordinates. Again.
In 2008, a documentary filmmaker named James Rourke decided to investigate. He and his crew traveled to Montana to track the coordinates. At 2:47 a.m., their radios picked up the signal. The coordinates led to a mine entrance less than a mile away. James went inside alone. 80 feet underground, he found something impossible. A fully functioning radio setup, mixers, microphones, computer monitors, all running with no visible power source. On one monitor, he saw a live video feed, security camera footage of the KSWT studio, exactly as it looked in 1987. And sitting at the microphone was Sarah Chen. James ran.
Today, reports of the Stillwater Broadcast have increased. People claim they hear fragments of Sarah's voice on AM radio, on podcasts, even in static between stations. Researchers analyzing the recordings have found something disturbing. Beneath Sarah's voice, there are other voices, dozens of them, maybe hundreds, all whispering, all counting down towards zero.
In 2023, a data analyst used AI to process dozens of recordings. Each voice had a different countdown, but every single one ended on the same date, October 13th, exactly 40 years after the first broadcast. No one knows what Sarah Chen discovered in that studio. No one knows what equipment is still running beneath Montana, and no one knows what will happen when the countdown reaches zero.
The broadcasts continue. Every night, somewhere in the American West, a radio picks up a signal it shouldn't be able to receive, and a voice from 1987 continues counting down. If you're ever driving late at night and your radio lands on 1340 AM and you hear a calm voice reciting numbers, my advice is simple. Don't follow them. Don't write them down. And whatever you do, don't count along.
This has been Cursed Chronicles, a story about a signal that was never meant to be heard, and a voice that was never meant to return. Somewhere out there, the frequency may still exist, waiting in the static, hiding between stations. So if you're ever driving late at night and your radio suddenly catches something strange, listen carefully. Because sometimes the silence between frequencies isn't really silence. And some frequencies should stay silent.